always loved to cook. Ever since I was a little kid, I would help my mom and dad cook all the time. And then in college, I had a friend who was in culinary school, and I decided to take a class because it sounded a lot of fun, and I fell in love with it and switched my major. My favorite dish is probably Italian, some kind of pasta. The other day I made a steak gorgonzola pasta, which is like a homemade Alfredo, sun-dried tomatoes, basil, super yummy. Culinary is important because everyone needs to know how to cook, feed themselves, take care of themselves, and if you can do it better, it's just, it tastes better. They have to go through all safety and sanitation procedures. They have to learn how to wash dishes, basic measuring, how to read a recipe. It's a lot of hard work as well, and you're not in the lab every day. I feel like some kids think, oh, I'm going to take cooking because we're going to cook every day. We typically cook in the second and third level at least once to twice a week. Advanced, sometimes we're in the kitchen 4 days a week. So it does, but they're still, they work hard in there. One of my advanced kids is like, I don't think I've worked hard in any other class as hard as I have in this class. My favorite part about teaching culinary is when a kid comes to me and they tell me that they made one of our recipes in class and they had so much fun and their family loved it and they're just cooking at home and enjoying it. I would definitely like to learn more about pastries, and sourdoughs is one thing that I haven't really done. I haven't done a lot of breads in general. I've made a lot, but I don't do them a lot, and so I just need more practice at them and to get better and be more confident. I definitely want to work on pot au choux. So pot au choux is the dough that you would use to make cream puffs or eclairs, and it has foiled me a couple times, and I just want to perfect it. Get a job in the industry as soon as you can. Learn everything you can from that job, and then find a new job where you're learning something totally different kind of cuisine, different cooking methods, and learn as much as you can and make sure it's what you want to do, or if you decide it's not exactly what you want to do, figure out how you can make it what you want to do. Maybe you want to be a food photographer, a journalist, or you want to go into nutrition and work in a hospital. And so not only can you tell them how to cook their food, but what foods to eat. Students teach me a lot. Every day they'll come and well, have you heard about this? And I just, no, let's talk about it. Like, what is it?
So I was inspired to start learning Japanese because I wanted to learn something with a different writing system, something that didn't use the Roman alphabet. Because I was an artist and I like writing and I like calligraphy. So I looked at my options and I eventually chose Japanese because they have not one but 3 different writing systems, so I figured that would be fun. I decided to become a Japanese teacher because I was originally going to do the opposite. I was going to teach English in Japan. That was going to be the way I tried to do what I was hoping to do with Japanese, which is I wanted to translate books from Japanese into English, but about 6 months before I was going to go to Japan to start teaching English was when the pandemic happened, so that wasn't possible. So I tried some other jobs, and eventually I came back to teaching, this time Japanese, whenever I found out that Oak Ridge was looking for a Japanese teacher. You need to learn in a class. I tried learning by myself, and it's not the same because you need to have someone who can speak Japanese to you and listen to you and correct you, and you need to have someone who can teach you in a structured way. I would recommend taking a class any way you can, whether it's in high school, in college, at a community college, or even just hiring a tutor or practicing with friends. You have to learn with someone else. I think Japanese is obviously going to be hard for someone to learn who speaks English typically, or speaks pretty much any language other than Chinese, because of the kanji and learning how to write it. If you know Chinese, it'll be a bit easier because they're kind of similar. So I think that's hard, and it's always going to take a lot of effort. But I think once you get into the actual grammar of Japanese, it's actually remarkably easy because it's very predictable, and there are lots of patterns, and it all sort of makes sense in a way that English doesn't, because English is just a hodgepodge of other languages. I like the fact that Japanese culture is very collective. Here in America, we have a very individualistic culture, and I think that the downside is that a lot of us are just by nature selfish because that's how our culture encourages us to be. But in Japan, it's more, people think of themselves as part of a group. Like, they want to do what's best for their family or their country or their town or their city or the people who they work with, because that's just how the culture is. And I think that I wish America had a little bit more of that.
My role role on the campus is to handle the daily medical needs of kids who need medications, and then if there are any emergencies or medical needs throughout the day, we help facilitate that and make sure that students are able to either safely stay at school or go home if that's what they need to do. I was a school nurse for an elementary campus for 2 years, and then I moved to Conroe ISD this year, and I started as a float nurse, floated to all different grade levels, and that's kind of where I found my fit at the high school grade level. Well, like I said, I started as a float nurse, and at the beginning of the year, I was asked how I felt about high school, and I told them I wasn't sure how I felt about high school, and they encouraged me, my bosses encouraged me to feel it out, see how I would fit in, and I actually subbed this campus for Nurse Baker. And after subbing for her, I got to meet Miss Tina, and then I got to come back a couple more times with Nurse Baker and support, and from there it kind of just snowballed into possibly taking over this campus, and it ended up happening, so I was very fortunate for that. This is a wonderful campus. I have subbed a multitude of high schools here in Conroe ISD, and this campus is really, really nice. I like the support from admin. I think the students, you guys are all fantastic, and I've really found my place here, so I really enjoy it. Our door's always open, and we're always willing to help, even if it's something that may be small. There's nothing that's too small or too big for us to help out. So I just want students to know that they're always welcome to come in, and we're always here to help them out in any way that we can. Well, we just moved, so the new clinic is down at the new wing of the building up by the new front office. So from the cafeteria, you would head towards the pit, walk past the pit, and you go down past where the blue tiled area where the teacher's lounge is, and you'll see the AED box hanging on the wall because we don't have a sign yet. So follow the AED box.